In this episode of Brupeg, I strike a pose in the afternoon sun, we do a terrible Titanic reenactment, Jess does a big reveal, and we do a drop test on the welder. Let's get into it.
The bell over the last month or so has taken a long time. We've got to finish that. At the same time, we need to get other jobs done. So we're doing multiple jobs on Brupeg in the next couple of weeks.
I took a stroll downtown this evening when I heard music echo through the night. The same old songs that I heard the night before. So I started running so I wouldn't be too late.
There's a lot to get done over the next few days. One of the critical jobs, get the anchor winch on. To do that, need to fit a new hoist onto our bow crane. On the bow of Brupeg, this crane is awesome. The anchors are too heavy to be able to lift by yourself. This one here is 112 kgs. That one over there is only, I think it's 60 kgs, but still pretty bit of a heavy lump of metal. So we use this crane all the time. The trouble is, these winches are not rated to have a huge amount of strain on them. This one's rated at 250 kgs, and it fritzed out when we were lifting 110 kg anchor. So it's obviously not, as good as what it's advertised as. We're going to be upgrading this one to an 800 kg capable winch. So I think if we're lifting 100 or 200 kgs at a time, we should be alright. I am racing to make sure that I can get this done before the light disappears. Got about that much before the sun's over the horizon. That's my to be tidied up pile. Instructions. Let's pull this whole thing apart. One old crane. Let's see if we can actually. Let's see if we can get this to slide in one piece. Dish. Nothing too critical, I think. First things first, I need to unbolt the original winch using a big spanner. I've fitted a few of these winches to the boat so far, and every time I try to build a bracket to bolt the winch on and off. However, every time I order a new winch, the bracket holes are in a different place. So I've given up on brackets and I'm welding it straight to it. This is a perfect light to look at my welds. I mean, they're pretty much impossible to see in this light, but that works out quite well sometimes. My plan is to put a gusset in there in the morning when I can see what I'm doing, but that's just about ready to go, I think. Now that I've got that welded up, I've just got to do the gusset in the morning. We're just about ready to empty everything off the bow. In the background, that little green light is my welder powering the electrolysis unit. We're cleaning up a few bits, the top half of the housing and a few other pieces that bolt onto it. So we are just about ready to start assembling this winch. But before I sign off for the night, I thought I'd show you the sunset that I was working under.
Wait on my leg. So, in our dedication to Hygge, making the boat a warm, homely, comfortable place to be, Snoop was our first surprise and Baby is our second.
One of her most favourite things is to sit up on the nav station here and watch her favourite TV show, which is, look, to be honest, there's not a lot of storyline. It's mostly just mice and fish running around, but she seems pretty chuffed with it.
When we got her named Tomato, she's from a rescue place called Silver Linings, which is a cat rescue organisation. They have carers. They grab cats from the pound about to be put down and try and home them. And she was one of them. She's part Bengal, and she's sort of, yeah, she really is. I knew very little about Bengals, but now I've been researching and watching her, and she's amazing. So gentle with the humans in their life. They're amazing. She's intelligent, she's communicative, she's very independent. The Bengal was part wildcat, mixed with a domestic, and we weren't really planning to have animals for quite a while on board until we kind of were launched and everything, but it just felt really right after finding Snoop. To rescue a cat, and she was it. Absolutely, we both fell in love with her the moment we saw her. It may seem really counterintuitive, an expedition boat while we're so rushed to try and get launched and all of that, but it just makes it such a warm place to be and so much fun. She's an indoor cat, so she's not going to be running around. She's not running around the yard or anything. Like Moran was a yard cat who adopted us, and that's when we knew we wanted a cat here with us. But this cat is resilient, and I think she'll do great on the ocean with us. And she's well looked after, and she's really loving it here. And Snoop and her get on really well. They sleep beside each other most of the time, most nights. They chase each other around. They play with each other. They tap each other on the head, and they seem to really enjoy each other's company. And every now and again, there's a wee tussle. Baby is on a 6-week trial from the agency. And that's to make sure that she's happy and we're happy with her. And if it doesn't work out, then we send her back to the carer, who's a lovely, lovely woman.
This is a standard editing process. We have crew number 1, we have chief editor, we have secondary production assistant.
Can I use my pen? Is that okay? Thank you, darling.
So a bit of an update about Snoop Dogg Massive, that's his formal name. He has hip dysplasia, and it's going to get progressively worse as he ages, and one of the things the vet said that we can do to try and delay any damage to his hips and joints and so on is an injection that they can give them. And essentially it's a course of 4 injections over the space of a month, so 1 a week for a month, and it delays any sort of long-term damage and so on as far as you can before it gets too much for them and they have to operate. One of the challenges is that we gave him the injection and he reacted quite badly to it, and it's like a really rare reaction. He started to go a little bit funny on it, but we thought, okay, well it's worth it because the improvement that we saw in his hip and everything was really good. And then Snoop being Snoop, he got into the cat litter that we had, which was a soy-based cat litter. It was basically just pure soy protein, and he went absolutely mad on it. He had a hell of a night. He was like vomiting. It was coming out both ends for quite some time, and that was kind of disgusting and smelly and terrifying at the same time. And
Dame's being very cute about it, but it was three nights when we thought he'd have to be put in hospital.
Because Snoop reacts so badly to a lot of medications and things, which we didn't realise at the time, but we do understand more now, we didn't necessarily know if he would survive surgery, and sometimes they have to actually go in and unblock the internal passages, etc., if they eat cat litter because it clumps up. Thankfully, this cat litter dissolves in water, so he ate it. It pretty much absorbed all the water in his body into this big lump of cat litter, and then it managed to actually just fall apart inside him, and he pooed it all out. So it was kind of the saving grace.
But he was very dehydrated.
Yeah, he was incredibly dehydrated. as a result of it, but we also learnt quite a bit out of the whole process. So anytime he has proteins, whether it be in medication or food, his body reacts really badly to it, and it can be anything from incredible lethargy, vomiting, diarrhea. His bowel gets really upset, his blood in his stool, really has a rough time of it, and it's consistent every time he has protein. Now that makes it quite difficult to feed him, but we have found that there is one food that he can handle, and it's a hydrolyzed protein. So basically the protein is broken down into really small parts so that the body doesn't recognize it as a protein, and he does really well on that food. Pretty much the moment that we put him on that food, he sort of bounced back, he started holding weight. He was really skinny, like he was skinny for him is about 18 kg, and he was, really skinny, and he, immediately came up to about 20 odd kg, and he started looking good and trim and, healthy sort of weight and everything, and yeah, like all of the diarrhea disappeared, and like everything started to come back to normal. So without him, tackling this kitty litter, then I don't necessarily know if we would have found it so fast, which is pretty cool because it means we can look after him a lot better than what we, have been able to before. So it's sort of exciting and terrifying at the same time because if he gets into anything, like if we leave a bit of chicken around or a bit of beef or something, he has a hell of a, the next 3 days is pretty rough for him.
Thanks, Abby and everyone at the clinic. For being so open and intelligent about the whole thing, and he's in good company.
Yeah.
So it does mean though that he may not cope with an operation for his hip.
Yeah.
And if anything happens to him, but they've started to investigate causes. So it could be something to do with the liver, but they're not sure. She's checked out Addison's, which is actually not that uncommon in dogs with problems like this, or other problems. That's not been crossed off the list, but it's kind of unlikely.
Yeah.
But you never know, so we're just going to keep investigating. In the meantime, he's pretty good. So why have animals on board Brupeg? It's really what I was saying before. It's all about the warmth and the feeling of crew. It includes animals for us. Yeah.
We've always been animal people, so no matter what we do in our life, we're always the type of people that have animals with us. Whether we're working with animals or we have animals, or whatever variation of that theme, we've always got them not far from us. So,
and they just sort of seem to find us, really.
Yeah.
So rescue animals is something we really like to do when we can. But on board, so there's both the dog and me have sort of hip issues and joint issues, so that's good. I mean, we've got the stabilizers. We'll travel safely. We'll do what we can to keep him as well as possible for as long as possible. It's just really awesome to have him with us. He's so cool. He's so brilliant. And a little bit of the odd long night or having to give him pain medication and stuff like that.
So a massive thank you to everybody at the clinic that's looked after Snoop and is starting to get to the bottom of what's going on with him. Without you guys, we'd be in a heck of a situation, and it's awesome to have that support behind us.
Yeah, thanks guys.
It's a new day, time for a bracket. Time to assemble this thing.
Now I get butterflies just thinking about your eyes, and that can't be all bad.
Wow. Wow.
What's going on?
Look at that.
Oh, it's good, eh?
Isn't it gorgeous?
Yeah, nice and heavy.
I can't say anything, but...
Right, we probably don't need double purchase, do we?
Now what are we doing?
We're lifting all the rope, we're clearing the deck. So lifting all the rope, getting rid of the anchor, lifting the chain if we want to. But I'm thinking...
dropping the anchor down, or we're just tying it off?
Drop it down. Let's just clear the deck.
Yeah.
And then get everything ready to weld.
Maybe we start with the ropes?
Yeah.
We got a mystery donation. Well, it's not a mystery to us who it's from, but they've asked to stay anonymous. Welding canvas. Look at this. when our lovely stainless, I don't want to get damaged when we start welding, so just throw that over. Thank you, you lovely man, you. Figure out reverse on this thing. Don't start going one way.
Alright, so when we get to the end of the rope, we'll just unbolt it straight away and put a new one on.
Yeah. It's pleasures of brain injury.
Now that I've undone that, I can finally put the swivel on. I've been meaning to for months, but I couldn't get this off.
It's all feels like, oh, another little thing, we're in the water soon.
Yeah.
Oh, there's another little thing, we're in the water soon.
We're about to weld a 20mm plate onto the deck, just for two reasons. One, to provide strength, but also to provide a flat surface for this winch to bolt onto. Now, normally you would cut the deck open and sink the plate in like this. There's a plate here where the original anchor winch used to be, and they've sunk the plate down into the deck. They didn't have any strengthening under this, so this is a 6mm deck, and this is a piece of 1/2 inch stainless, and that's all the stiffening and strengthening that they had. There wasn't anything underneath. Most trawlers don't anchor a huge amount. They spend most of their life actually motoring around at sea, so they don't necessarily need to go overboard with their anchoring. We're going to go the other way, so we're going to be doing a lot of anchoring, and we're going to be anchoring in some pretty extreme situations, so we have to make sure that our anchor is like bulletproof.
It's also backup.
Yeah.
If the motor dies, you've got to throw your anchor down wherever you are, because you don't start hitting things.
Yeah. So underneath this floor we've built a large grid system, so there's a lot of stiffness under the floor, and it also distributes the weight over a huge area under this deck, as opposed to just the 4 bolts onto a relatively thin plate. Now the issue is that this deck is not straight, so if we were to bolt it straight down, we've got, this corner is going to be sitting higher, the deck's got a curve, there's a wobble going on, so it's absolutely the wrong environment to try and bolt it down and not cause damage to the housing. You can break the housing by twisting it unnecessarily. So because we can't sink it down into the deck, because we've got this massive grid underneath, we're going to be welding essentially a doubler on top of the deck. It's not ideal, but it's better than not doing the doubler arrangement that we've got, because otherwise we will break the housing because it's going to be uneven. So the risk of doing that is we're going to have potential air pockets around the bolt holes. So we're going to be doing a continuous weld around the perimeter of the plate, and then where we've got the bolt holes, we're going to be using essentially like an epoxy or a sealant type thing to actually fill that up so we can't have air leaking in and out of that cavity and therefore causing rust underneath that plate.
So I disagreed. I don't like the idea of Sika trying to stop seawater going in. There was a little bit of discussion that ensued. We'll have a nice robust discussion about that.
About our policy settings, to make sure we get the settings about right.
And I think the first port of call is food and coffee.
God, yes.
Because then the conversations that ensue are entertaining and not taken seriously or personally. And then I think the next thing we need to do is open this hatch and get down there and have a proper tete-a-tete about what we're going to do.
$5 says you see the strengthening and go, oh yeah, we're not cutting that.
No, I remember the strengthening, but I honestly think this is going to be a mistake.
Okay. Oh, actually, you know what? I cut the holes. I remember trying to solve this. I cut those holes bigger. These are 25mm and they're 32mm so that I can get a stick in there and weld it. I did it on purpose. I remember now. These are cut with an annular cutter. 34mm actually from memory, so they're the biggest annular cutter that I can do, which is 34mm.
So you're gonna weld them up?
Yeah, and these holes here, that's a 25mm bolt hole that goes all the way through the big grid that we welded at the bottom. So there's going to be basically a gap, so I'll be able to see this deck through the holes on these plates, these holes on that plate there. So as a result of that, I will be able to stick weld it. So the whole thing will be fully watertight by the time I'm finished. Welded, watertight.
You clever man.
So can I just have it?
Yeah, I concede.
Are we taking the grid apart? Are we taking the grid of death apart?
No.
The most ridiculously overbuilt grid in the history of the world?
No, but I didn't know that you had done that, or at least I've forgotten.
Neither did I until now.
All I can say is thank you. There's not that extra work. That's all I'm saying. Yay! Right, coughing?
Yeah.
Due to a kink that jammed up in the pulley on the new wire rope, you're about to watch a rapid unscheduled disassembly. Yep, of the welder.
The handle's cut off.
Oh.
When the welder came down with a bit of a drop. This gave way. It's alright, it's fine, it survived, it just needs a new handle.
So this is the plate in position. You can sort of see it lines up with the 4 holes in the deck. But the challenge we have is this hydraulic line can't move. So we're going to take a wee bit off this corner so that we can get a weld around it. Like, yeah, we'll do a radius, something like that.
What?
Actually, what I'll do is I'll go down and measure the housing to figure out where the feet sit.
Ah, yeah.
I need to know, it can't hang off the side, so I need to know how big the feet are.
Yeah.
Once we've got that, then we can figure out our radius. Yep.
Well, look at that.
Yeah, I think I did it 50mm from the edge all the way around it from memory. So we've got plenty of room to be able to chop off corners if we want to. What I was thinking is over here, maybe do a radius, like quite a big radius, but out like that, because then it gives us plenty of welding room.
Only just cutting this bit here. You're going to do it while it's here? Or you're gonna
Yeah, I'll just cut it up here. I'll go and grab the 9-inch because the other grinder will take forever on that.
We can just lift and just pull that and drop it, and you can do it down the bottom.
Oh, actually, I'll do that. Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's get rid of it then. Okay. Oh, fucking hell, it's a lumping grate that I steal.
It is heavy, eh?
Yeah, alright. So, plate down the bottom, we need to trim off this corner, and whatever diameter this is practically perfect. So started off at 230mm, but it's probably less, 220 or something now. Less than that maybe, but yeah, nip that off, and we're going to gain ourselves about an inch to weld up. First things first, let's give the whole thing a clean up. So I have run out of cut-off discs for my 9-inch grinder, so I'm going to modify the bed on the drop saw and use that. And then I'll clean up the hack marks and stuff with the grinder on the 9-inch. I've got grinding wheels, so I'll clean up the hack marks afterwards with that grinder. Right, here goes nothing. Yeah, they won't line up perfect, but they'll be close enough. Yeah, so I've got them as pretty much as lined up as I can get. They're not, like, these holes aren't perfect with these holes. There's obviously a slight misalignment, but...
But it doesn't really matter, does it?
No, well, it makes no difference. And these holes are much bigger, so that it's irrelevant. Like, this is essentially just a big washer, and it gets clamped using these big 1-inch thick bolts. So
you're saying, okay,
so
this is a washer.
Yeah. This is just one washer. Yeah. It's not a spring washer, that would be completely inappropriate. It's just a single washer. So the weld that holds this on is almost irrelevant, because these bolts are going to be clamping the whole thing down so hard that it won't move. So the weld is literally just to waterproof it, to stop shit getting underneath it. And we'll weld in here as well to stop any air getting underneath this plate, between the deck and this plate. So, and you can sort of see that rock that's going on there. That shows you how bad the deck is. Like, if we try to bolt it down, we're going to cause problems. So what I will do is actually pack this corner up slightly so that we can try and actually get it, like, I'll lift that corner up and jam these guys in so that we can get it as close as we can to being sort of flat.
That could be done easily just with a little bit of weight, couldn't it?
Yeah, an attack. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
I don't know, did you have something else in mind, or?
Actually, maybe we just dip that corner down there, because the deck slopes that way, so if we just dip that corner there, that's probably plenty. Are you right?
My plan is 3 runs around this plate. So the first is the root run, and this essentially joins the plate to the deck and makes sure that there's no gap, and then the following 2 beads are essentially just building up the size of the weld and also the strength. Because it's a 25mm plate, I don't want it to be too far off the deck, and by having 3 beads it basically allows it to be a nice sort of transition to the deck.
You can sort of see we've got a bead basically encapsulating that whole plate right the way around now, and the weld's reasonable sort of quality. There you go. We do a bit of smoke burning off, and you sort of see inside that hose pipe there. But what I'm thinking is I'll go around and I'll maybe do another 2 runs right the way around that, just so that it's never coming off. But yeah, I'm pretty chuffed with that. That's going to look quite nice once it's all painted up. So this is an interesting thing. This is half a roll of wire that's been sitting inside the boat in the sea, humidity, air, etc. And you can see there's like a layer of surface rust on the top layer of wire. Now normally if you were doing a boat to survey, they wouldn't use that. They'd go and open a new roll of wire and carry on. And that's one of the issues with storing bigger rolls of wire. It's cheaper to buy bigger rolls of wire, but it's really difficult to store it if you're not using them all in one go. So that's why a small gun's cool, because you have little wee 1 kg or half kg rolls of wire, rather than 5 kg or 15 kg for bigger welders. However, in this case I need to reuse this wire. So what I've often found is, because this is a non-critical weld, so it's not like a hull panel where it absolutely has to be perfect, I'd use a new roll of wire if that's the case. But in this case, because this is a non-critical weld, it's just essentially a washer that's going to be bolted to the deck in the way of thinking. You can actually just strip off the top couple of layers of rolls of wire on this, and it opens up the layers below, which are generally pretty much perfect. Again, it's all situation dependent, because if it's a critical weld I wouldn't recommend doing that, but if it's a non-critical weld, it's a way that I've found that you can rescue essentially what would be wire that goes in the bin. You don't want this wire to go through your liner, so the easiest way to get rid of the top few strands is use the auto tension that the reel has and just literally pull it off like this. And you should start to see the colour go from that rusty rubbish colour through to a nice golden bronze colour. Right, I'm confident we're not getting any rust coming off now. Right, we have 3 beads around that. The welder was running like a bag of crap, but managed to get it done. Welds are acceptable, but definitely not the best that this welder can do. Anyway, pressed on. Now these things here, I want to show these. You sort of see they've got basically beads right the way around, and they're kind of bulbous and big. But what I'm thinking is I'll just run a drill or a annular cutter down there and just machine those out. I think that's going to work out nice. That's the work done today. Next step, let's get this anchor winch on.